Whenever I hear someone tell me about how they are afraid to step out into the unknown, to do what they have dreamt of doing, I always have to tell them about my testimony on how I launched out into the deep to discover my potential. I wanted to encourage you not to allow fear to control or dictate how you choose to live your life, because there was a time when I was afraid of being in a large body of water, and that act of fear followed me in other areas of my life. When I was 4, while I was on the beach with my family, I was playing on the shoreline, and as I got closer into the water, the current had pulled me into the ocean. By the time my parents had discovered this, I was in the middle of the ocean holding on to a buoy. Even though my daddy had swam to get me, the fear of swimming was my first spiritual battle that began to destroy my innocence. The type of innocence that will put a fear in a child to not go out and test the waters to see if they can sink or swim. In 2003, I had decided to confront the fear of swimming while I was on a company group trip in Negril, Jamaica. I had planned to take a jet ski excursion with a few of my friends. This was my first time ever on jet skis, but I kept reminding myself that faith without works is dead, so I had to get on those jet skis. Once I got on and traveled along the bank with my friends, I started to become comfortable enough to slowly begin to pick up speed. As I started to skip over the water, I can hear my friends say, "Slow down, Tiff." But I was having so much fun, so I took off away from them. As I was traveling far away, I was praying and praising and thanking the Father for giving me a chance of a lifetime. Then I stopped right in the middle of the ocean. There was no sign of civilization around me. The water was so deep and blue, I knew that there was a possibility I was in the deepest part of the ocean. Anything could have been under those jet skis, but I just sat there and I contemplated on jumping in. Even though I had a life jacket on, that was a bold thought for me to think of wanting to jump in. But once I jumped in, I forgot that the waves would push my jet skis away from me. I panicked after I saw the skis had drifted far away from me, so I began to doggy paddle back to them. But each time I try, they drift further away from me. Now I was really in trouble, and then there was nobody around. Then I remember hearing, "You have not been given the spirit of fear." I began to pray and say, "Father, if it was not your will for me to jump in, forgive me. But I wanted to test to see if you'll come and get me just like my daddy did." Next thing you know, my friends were coming to get me. When I saw them, I was really convinced that he was really listening to me because the timing was perfect. When I look back and I realize how dangerous that act was when there was no one around but my father, I found that this scripture represents my testimony perfectly, and is found in Romans chapter 8, verse 14 through 17. And it reads, "For as many as are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God. For ye have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear, but ye have received the Spirit of adoption, whereby we cry, Abba, Father. The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God, and if children, then heirs, heirs of God, and joint heirs with Christ, if so be that we suffer with him, that we may be also glorified together." It was easy for me to ignore my fears, but courage will not make it to the playing field unless you have a fear to face down. So by owning my feelings, I had took the first step towards gaining control over the situation. By professing my faith gave me something to hope for, and through action, my faith is being built. It is my hope and prayer that this testimony will encourage you to step out and do those things that you have found an obstacle in your life to pursue. When I reflect back on me launching out into the deep, I realize that it was a monumental moment in my life and a testament to my faith. That one act has turned into another, and even though there are many unknown places that I must have to go, or things that I may have to encounter, I must remember what it says in James chapter 2, and I encourage you to read the whole chapter. But in this latter part of the chapter, the Apostle Paul shows the error of those who rested in their professions of being a Christian, as if that would be the only thing that will save them. So, if we continue to say we have faith and never do anything with it, then we are just like everyone else in the world when we are to be the hope in the world. I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to my testimony, and I hope and pray that you consider this. Please continue to stay in prayer over the nation and our brothers and sisters in Israel. Peace and love.